wanted to ask you, if you guys had the powers Harriet and Leota have, would you consider them like a curse or a blessing?
I would consider it a blessing.
Oh, big blessing.
Big blessing.
Yeah.
First of all, I would make better decisions with the men that I date.
Well, but see, that would be me, like, seeing that for you.
Yeah,
I don't
you
know.
have to see
You mean like your own decisions?
Yeah, make my own decisions would be better. Like, and I could see a man be like, oh, I could see what kind of man he gonna be, and be like,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Or I could call on some spirits, tell me what he been up to. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Amigos de película, esto no se puede poner más Nueva Orleans que esto. Estoy en la calle, hace mucho calor, hay atrás de mí una banda de jazz y además estoy afuera de la mansión Elm. Esta ciudad inspiró la historia de la nueva película de Disney, La Mansión Embrujada, protagonizada por Owen Wilson, Jamie Lee Curtis, Tiffany Haddish, Rosario Dawson, y yo estoy aquí para conversar con todos ellos sobre lo que hay detrás de esta historia que llega ya a la pantalla grande.
When my son and I moved in here, it wasn't as warm as we hoped.
I have to tell you this. When I was watching the film yesterday, I thought, at the very first, I'm not the kind of person who would play with, like, supernatural things. I would just like go out running. How long or what would it take for you to believe you're actually seeing a ghost?
It doesn't take me much. I wholeheartly believe in ghosts and spirits and spiritualness, but I don't think they're necessarily a creepy thing. They can sometimes be just an interesting phenomena, or sometimes they're even cool. They help you out and help guide you through certain things when you need to call upon them. So yeah, I like it. It's pretty cool.
I like that idea. It's very much like magic. Whenever, like, I have friends who do magic and magicians, and people will do things and, like, half the room leans in, like, this sees the awe and the wonderment and are curious and excited, and then the other half, like, pull back and are, like, totally freaked out and, like, I want no part of that. But I think there's an agreement on, no matter which reaction, is that there is a reality that we don't know.
Yeah.
There is a perception that's there. There is a texture of life that is not something we'll ever fully be able to comprehend, and however you approach it, I think, is unique to you. But that's what I think projects like this and storytelling like this is so wonderful. Like, having the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland all this time is, like, allowing people to explore that in a way that can help to provoke, like, a healthy response without it actually being too scary, which I think is cool.
People were asking me kind of earlier, if you were gonna spend the night in a real haunted mansion, who from the cast would you want to bring? And I was thinking, Rosario, just because, obviously her kind of Mandalorian, she's kind of, tough, but then also she has, like, and this is just her as a person, such a kind of cheerful, kind of upbeat, she'd bring kind of, food to set and these great kind of chocolates that she'd share with everyone. And so she's just a really lovely person to be around.
You're not that scary. You're really not. You're pretty terrifying. Can you turn it around just while I finish this? Thank you.
How did you translate the experience for a Disneyland park goer into a movie goer experience?
Very carefully and very passionately. We spent a lot of time on the original ride. I was already a big fan of the ride and have ridden it many times in my life. And really just tried to, when Walt Disney is a true artist. This is the last ride that, he specifically worked on before he passed. And a lot of love and intention and conversations and creative friction went into creating that ride. And so we mulled over all of that stuff, and we really tried to get into their heads and figure out what they were thinking when they made some of the creative choices that put that ride together.
Well, I have to make a confession. I'm 37 years old, and I still go into that ride trying to figure out how they do everything.
Exactly.
Like the ballroom part, I'm like, what? How is this happening?
Exactly right. Yes.
Did you discover any secrets on that, and were they somehow handy for you to create what you created in the Haunted Mansion?
Extremely. That was what you just said. You hit the nail on the head. Like, they're playing a trick on you, but you're not quite sure how they're doing it. That was the mantra for everything. And so we walked through the ride. I saw it with the lights on. I saw exactly how they project the ghost. And when you ride the ride, knowing that doesn't matter. It still is spooky and takes you by surprise. And that's what I felt the goal for the movie was. So we built a real set, you know, even when we're dealing with like see-through ephemeral ghosts, these are practical people in costumes and in makeup. I wanted it to actually be there. I wanted people to not just sort of react to a blue screen, but to react to what was happening in front of them and interact with it, so that when you watch the movie at home, you know we're playing with digital effects and you know we're doing all these kinds of things, but like there's a there too that feels like it could be true. It could really exist, and that was directly impacted by that ride.
I summon Madame Leota!
I can show you what happened, but it will cost you $3.
What?
Wow. It's highway robbery.
Who said that?
Haunted Mansion and also, you know, the Top Hat Ghost house says everything we need to know about them just by looking at their houses. Is there something that I could find in your house that would tell me anything or everything I need to know about you?
Oh yeah, you're gonna know everything you need to know about me. You come to my house.
What was the one thing that would tell you?
Yeah.
Probably the collage of all the things that I love in my bedroom.
Like a mood board?
Yeah, I got a little collage that I made. Yeah, just all the things I love is plants.
It's sort of like the Sgt. Pepper's cover?
Yeah. You know me well.
So name one thing on that collage.
There's plants.
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 Okay.
Yes.
Plants.
Yes.
You love plants then?
Plum trees to be particular. I love plum trees. I love plums.
Okay.
My plum tree is blooming right now.
When we get back, I'm gonna have plums.
I'm gonna have to like drop you some
We're
plums.
gonna do some plum swaps.
Can I be a part of it?
I got lemons.
Of course.
I live in Mexico, but you can always send
Of
something
course.
to me.
Mine, if you came to my house,
Mexico's great.
if you came to my house, do you know those labelers where you label things?
Yeah.
That's how you'd know you were in my house, because the front door says front. Like I label my husband. He walks around with a thing that says husband.
What does that say about you? That's the real question.
I'm very neat.
Okay.
Let me just say that. I'm like super neat.
And she wants to remember what things is?
No, it's not about my old person memory. Thank you, Tiffany. I'm not like talking about my memory issues.
I'm just thinking
Should I
about
get a tag that says journalist here?
No.
Mexican journalist?
No. You know why?
No.
Because you're lovely.
You're more than just a journalist.
Jamie, you're always the best.
What would we know? How would we know what you are or what you're into if we come to
you
your
would
house?
find plenty of like Funkos and
do you like Funkos?
Yes, and I love like superheroes. I'm that nerd. I'm a nerdy person. Like I have a Captain America shield in my wall.
Oh
like
my God.
You could get Chris Evans to sign it?
Not yet, but I will eventually.
If we don't solve this mystery, we're stuck here for eternity.
I have to ask you, do you believe in ghosts?
You know, I would like to believe in them, so I'm susceptible to somebody else saying, oh yeah, I experienced something, and that kind of excites me, that possibility. And when we were in New Orleans, obviously there's so much history in that city, and you do feel something I've never experienced personally, something sort of supernatural. But I have people that I trust and believe in that they've had those experiences. So I hope to have one. I don't want to be left out.
I'm Mexican, so I think I relate a lot with what the film talks about in the relationship of these characters with death. And I feel like that says a lot about who you are. So what are your feelings towards that? What do you believe in? What do you think about death and afterlife and all of this?
Death. Oh, it's interesting. I've had conversations with death doulas, and people who spend, like, that's what they do for a living and helping prepare. And I find them to be some of the most joyous people. They're almost the folks who are like the same kind of doulas that do pregnancy. It's like there's just something so powerful, magnificent, so vulnerable. And I think it's that power, it's power and vulnerability put together that is just so, it's mythic almost. The proportions of it are just so impressive and incredible. And it's not something, regardless how we think or feel about it, it's not something any of us avoids. It's a natural part of life. And I think embracing that and knowing it, and I think for me, growing up spiritually and having a relationship with God was always so critical, because it keeps you in the humility of what our existence is. Like we are a part of something larger than ourselves. And I think it gives you a sense of responsibility. It gives you a sense of awe and wonder that I think is really quite beautiful. I always find that fascinating when people try to cut it out, or when someone dies, they try to go, I'll not do that. Like, you're going to avoid death somehow by avoiding how someone else died. You know, it's like, I'm more interested in like, well, what do you want that to be later? Like, how would you, are you putting your will together? Are you, how do you want to be buried? Do you want to be buried, cremated? Like, and people get so uncomfortable with those conversations, but I think you don't want to have that after the fact. It's coming anyway. Yeah. And then you don't want to be sitting there going, wait, is this what they really wanted? And I think that's actually really beautiful, because I've had some of the most incredible conversations hearing from people like, no, I want to be cremated. I want my ashes spread around the world. No, I want to be in the ground in nature and go back to, dust to dust. Like, and it's just some of the most beautiful conversations I've ever had with so many people in my life that have been willing to share that.
We're all writing our own funerals as we go through this life. Don't forget that.
I will never forget that.
I particularly like the fact that Disney movies from the beginning have helped people deal with death. If you think about Bambi, which was one of the first big Disney hit movies, helps generations deal with the loss of a parent. Yeah. And I think it's an important conversation that is not very American. It's a more European, but in America, death is a business, and it's not like, as you said, culturally, Day of the Dead. Like, it's steeped in it, and we don't here in America. So I'm glad that there are movies like Haunted Mansion, which have themes of death and loss, because what are ghosts? Oh, right, dead people. So, just the nature of the ride, seeing ghosts floating around, those are people that used to be here, now they're spirits. And I think it's just a really lovely, family-friendly version of telling that story.
But for me, I know it's inevitable. It's going to come at some point. And I just want to do as much as I can in my meat suit on land before I have to be in the ether, or I don't know if we just floating around or we go up to the universe. I don't know. I haven't done it before, as far as I know. So whatever happens, happens. I'll be excited to see what happens, or if nothing happens. I don't know. But I know my grandma keeps showing up in my dreams, and I don't know and my grandma, my great grandpa, all these people keep showing up in my dreams. And I don't know if it's a mental problem that I got, or if they really, astral projecting into my dimension.
I think that's.
But they're giving me orders, and I've been following them, and life has been better since I've been obedient. So.
If you, by any chance, go before me, which I hope not, just let me know what happens. Like,
okay,
I'll show
up in your dreams.
Okay.
And I'll let you know.
Maybe like a light, like.
I ain't messing with no
like
lights. They're gonna try to hit me with the light bill. I'm gonna show up in your dreams, like my grandma showed up in mine.
No te puedes perder La Mansión Embrujada en Cinemex, y si quieres saber más sobre este y todos los estrenos del cine y el streaming, síguenos en nuestras redes sociales en De Película 40 y a mí en GabyCam 40 para mucha más información. Yo me despido, voy a ir a bailar un rato con ellos, pero nos vemos la próxima.
Surprise.
You're all in for a treat.